Hello and welcome back to From a Head Teacher's Perspective with me, Paul Urry. Today I'd like to focus on behaviour as being a curriculum. Why unconditional positive regard works. Let's get this out the way early. Unconditional positive regard is not woke. It's not liberal fluff. It's not letting kids get away with it. It's not about throwing structures out of the window and hoping the vibe carries us. What it is about, and what it's always been about, is meeting children where they are, understanding what's driving their behaviour, and working with them to get them where they need to be. It's about clarity, consistency, boundaries that everyone understands, and yes, deep, unshakable respect for children as human beings. Because in the words of Paul Dix, when the adults change, everything changes. And I can tell you, after years of leading schools with this approach at the centre, he's absolutely right. Behaviour isn't separate from learning. Behaviour is learning. It's communication. It's the surface layer of something much deeper. Children don't act out for no reason. They don't disrupt lessons because they're naughty. That word shouldn't have been buried with the blackboard rubber. They behave because they're overwhelmed or they're understimulated. They're afraid. They're copying someone. They want connection. They want control. You can only address behaviour if you understand it. And when you really understand it, not excuse it, not justify it, but see it clearly, you can do this real work, helping children learn to regulate, reflect, and recover. One of the most powerful lessons I've learnt as a leader: adults set the weather. When we are calm, consistent and predictable, children begin to feel safe. When we are fair and transparent, children begin to trust. When we treat behaviour as a teachable moment, not as a punishable offence, children start to grow. In our school, we built a calm and purposeful environment where there is laughter in the classrooms, reflective conversations in the playground, restorative work around school. And yes, still boundaries, strong, clear ones, but they're not based on rigid rule books. We don't have a list of school rules. Well, we don't need them. Why? Because when the culture is relational and the expectations are lived, not laminated, the children know when they've crossed the line. Not because they broke Rule 4B, but because they've harmed someone, because they've broken trust, because they've let themselves down. Let me be clear. Children do transgress. They shout, they argue, they walk out, they lash out. Sometimes the behaviour is big. Sometimes it's heartbreaking. But we don't treat those moments as bad behaviour. We treat them as opportunities. Opportunities to teach self-awareness, to build empathy, to strengthen relationships. Opportunities to equip them with real life conflict resolution tools. We don't shame, we don't humiliate. We talk, we listen, we repair. We help the child understand themselves and others better. Because one day that child will be an adult in a workplace, in a relationship, in a community. And what they learn now will help shape the kind of adult they become. Behaviour is the curriculum that prepares children for life. Paul Dix writes persuasively about the power of consistency over punishment, and it's true. Children don't need adults who escalate. They need adults who anchor. In our school, the adults take responsibility for their own behaviour too. We don't shout. We don't get personal. We don't make children feel small to feel in control. We model emotional regulation. We apologise when we mess up. We show them what respectful authority looks like. And you know what? It works. Because in a school where adults are open, reflective and emotionally intelligent, children are more likely to become the same. Learning is an emotional process. You can't learn if you don't feel safe. You can't concentrate if you're in survival mode. You can't reflect if you feel attacked. That's why, before anything else, we focus on creating a climate of emotional safety. In that climate, children flourish academically, take more risks in their learning, admit mistakes, ask for help, and develop resilience and regulation. In other words, they don't just behave better, they learn better. So why are people still suspicious of this? Let's be honest, unconditional positive regards can sound fluffy if you've never seen it in action. It challenges the old school command and control approach that many adults were raised with. It asks a lot from staff, emotional labour, deep empathy and endless consistency. And sometimes it feels like hard graft. But here's the truth. The other way might feel easier. Stick to the rule book, punish the behaviour, move on. But it just kicks the problem down the road. This approach transforms lives. If you're curious, cautious, or somewhere in between, ask yourself these questions. What is the purpose of our behaviour policy? To control or to teach? Are we modelling the emotional regulation we want to see? Do our responses to behaviour build trust or break it? Can our children reflect on their own behaviour without fear? And are we preparing them for school or for life? In our school, you will see adults standing with children, not against them. Conversations, not confrontations. Children who reflect, repair and grow. Calm classrooms, warm greetings and shared humour. Adults who own their influence and use it with care. And you will see children who are learning not just how to behave in school, but how to live with integrity, empathy and confidence. That's not soft, that's not liberal, that's powerful. I believe this work is too important to stay inside one school. We need to share, reflect, challenge and grow together. So I'm inviting you to the conversation. What approach to behaviour do you use in your school? How do you support emotional safety without losing high expectations? And what restorative practice have made a difference for your pupil? Because behaviour isn't just something to manage, it's something to teach. And it's the teaching that will matter most, long after the end of the school day. Thank you for listening to this podcast. Please do comment and share with other colleagues. Until next time, thank you and goodbye.